Hello and welcome to the 21st Tech Talk today. Happy Friday, everyone. Hopefully you will enjoy the weekend. Today our guest is Donnie Lygonis. Hello, Donnie.
Hello, and happy to be here.
Yeah.
Number 21, you said.
Yes.
Well done. Well done. Consistency.
Yes. Consistency. Yes. So like we are getting right into it. So having that authentic approach, which is the title today of our conversation, is just that: consistency and having that live relationship with the audience. So thank you for joining in. For those that do not know, our guest today is a very interesting and energetic person who I've gotten known through the Hello Monday morning routine that you do, which is quite invigorating. So thank you for that. You are also an expert on innovation, and you work in the Royal Institute of Technology in Sweden. You kind of bring students and researchers from the institute to commercialize their ideas and make their startups ideas succeed. In a nutshell, you've been a part of a lot of TEDx's. You have participated in a lot of public speaking, which we can tell by your demeanor when you have a live stream. Also, you are running what I would like to point out. You are running a nice show called Innovation Fika, which I will share the link to here in the chat so that everyone from the audience can see. So follow up, because it's a really, really nice way of getting to know the startup scene in Sweden and getting to know all of the tricks and tips that one should know when you want to realize that idea and put it into reality. So that's kind of the whole point with you, Donnie, right?
Yes.
You are the person that kind of gets that idea that lies on a piece of paper and you put it into reality.
Yes.
What's the process there? How did you get started? Why would anyone even do that? You have the academy, which in all over Europe is academy, very static, very unflexible, very not motivated at times. And you have the business world, which has a big gap between. How did it all how did it all get started? How did the Institute of Technology get started? Innovation start? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, that's actually, thank you for a very good question, and thank you for the fantastic intro. Wow. If I only, why? Who would have known? I didn't even get my...
You need to get used to that. You are now no longer the host. You're the guest.
I know.
It's weird.
No, thank you so much. Going back then, because Sweden acknowledged let's call it the problem or the issue with that, a lot of good ideas being created and aggregated in academy, but not so many of those good ideas becoming commercialized. We have very good, excellent research, lots of ideas coming out of the universities, but not becoming, commercial companies. And then like 20 years ago, they started looking at that. What can we do? And the short version is that 15 years ago, when KTH Innovation was born, where I now work, the whole idea was, it was actually a national Swedish project called the Innovation Office Project, where they actually gave all big universities funding to start commercially and professional oriented innovation support units. And that's sort of how we came to be. So that started 15 years ago at KTH. I was recruited in actually as an entrepreneur from the side 13 years ago. So it's my 13th year here now at KTH to actually add the startup part and that part. So that's a lot of what my contribution has been about, is the entrepreneurship and startup-y kind of part too. Because previously it was more what maybe you've heard the term tech transfer, transferring technology in patent and licensing, which is a traditional way of moving knowledge from academia into business. And then so I brought that part in, And then 15 years or 13 years later, we are now 18 people full time. Half of us are business coaches that work with almost 400 new projects coming in every year into our process. And we've built something which is really, really cool and is considered to be one of the best offices in the world, actually. A lot of the tools that we've developed during the process are becoming best practice globally. So we have one tool called the KTH Innovation Readiness Model, which is a tool we use to measure progress and to plan progress. That's being used by 700 other parties as well, all over the world. And anybody watching, if you want a super good tool to help you in the very early stage of your idea to market thing, check out the KTH Innovation Readiness Tool. It's free to use, Creative Commons, online. You can sign up for a free license. And we're trying to spread it to everyone. So we want to spread a good tool to the world. So that's sort of how it started, and that's sort of where we are today, in a nutshell.
So I will share the readiness tool here. So I think that's the correct, yeah. So people can take a look at it. So my main kind of question is, how do you get someone that is usually an introvert? So I don't want to stereotype a lot, but usually people that are researchers, people that are very into the academic, and some of us that are into IT are more of a introverts than an extrovert. So usually what happens is what we see when we kind of compare ourselves with the US. We have a recurring joke where we say that the kids in the US can sell better and more efficiently than us, even though we have sometimes better ideas. So how do you come about and kind of pull the reluctant person, not willing to stand in front of the camera? How do you put them in front of the camera? What do you do? What's the process there?
Yeah. Oh, that's a question with very many multi-level answers, and we could spend another next week talking about that. But there's so many things I got into. But I would say that first of all, I get the whole stereotyping thing, and then that's usually how we also see it. And that's one thing that we do a lot here at the university, is that we acknowledge that people have different strengths. So we don't want to force a really good researcher to become a mediocre entrepreneur. We would rather team a really good researcher up with a really good entrepreneur. And we do a lot of team building here. We recruit people in. Anybody watching that wants to join one of our teams, you're free to, check out our homepage. We always have all of our startups have always open positions for people. So that's one thing, it's all about, you need to find what is your drive and what do you want to do. But everybody needs to be able to present what they're doing. And then it's more about, you pick me, you show me the most like introvert researcher, but if we can get that person talking about something that they're passionate about, they'll never stop. So it's because you mentioned this part about authenticity and being yourself and the thing. And when you're actually talking about something you care about, it's not about introvert or extrovert and that kind of salesy kind of thing. Because if you are actually talking about something you care about, it's a whole different thing than, I have to sell this because I'm an employed salesperson at this company. And then then we can talk about the people who can sell anything. But when it comes to selling something, because that's what we do, even researchers sell. I mean, they apply for research grants all the time. So they're selling their research all the time, even though they don't see it as selling. They just see it as something, they have to do to survive. However, if you put it in different context, it actually is selling. They're presenting their ideas. They're getting people to sort of buy into it. And, and then they're getting a research grant. So that is them actually pitching. So all we need to do is we need to change the words from applying for a research grant to pitch for an investment. And it's the same kind of conversation they're having. But I think it comes back to the whole authenticity part, because if you actually truly believe in what you're trying to talk about, and if you're passionate about it, that will shine through. At the same exactly the same way as if you don't care, or if you're not passionate about something, it won't come through. It will be sort of, nobody will believe in, and that's the whole thing. You need to make people believe that you're the person to do this. I've identified a huge problem. I've identified, together with my colleagues, an incredible solution. We are now working to solve this.
Mm.
And if you actually believe that, and you stand behind that, people will feel it as well as they hear it, and that's when it starts working.
So,
And when and
so
another
it's a sort of a statement of character. So it is a way of you putting yourself out there,
yeah,
and you are actually proving to some future investors for a future project that
yeah,
isn't even conceived yet,
yeah.
that you're that type of a person, that you don't give up. So that is kind of what I picked up
Oh yeah.
from
Oh
what you're
yes, yes,
saying.
indeed. I mean, and the thing is, when we talk about investments, because I mean, if you look at we have an early stage pitching model, which we call INSWIN, which is intro, need, solution, why us, investment, and next step. And when we talk about investment, it's not only about money. When you're asking people to invest in you, it's not about only, it could be, I want you
Yeah.
to spend time in my project. I want you to engage in my project. I want you to help my project. I want you to, I want you to help me network my project. Whatever it is, you're asking for somebody to invest something in your project. So the best way of asking for money is actually not to ask for money. Don't say that, hi, by the way, we need $2 million. Don't say that. Tell them how great your project is. Talk about that you need their help, or don't go straight for the money, because you want them to say, yeah, but are you sure you don't need money? And then you have them.
Yeah.
It's
It is quite interesting to have, like, there's no line between business and personal, because they are investing in you,
they're
the
investing in you.
person.
They're investing in you. It's the people. The thing is, ideas don't realize themselves. People realize ideas. And if you don't have the people, nothing will happen. An idea, no matter how good it sounds in here, is worth zero. Zero. I don't care how good your idea sounds in here when you're talking to yourself and the other people in there. It's zero worth. When you start talking about it, we can add some value. When you start doing something about it, that's when it happens. And when you start succeeding with the doing, then we create value for somebody else. And that's again, execution, 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 and nothing happens without the people.
Yeah, you had an interesting LinkedIn post where you basically said that, like, in a nutshell, you shared that you do not believe, maybe I misread, but you do not believe in, like, genius ideas. Like, you believe more in being persistent, being
Yeah,
consistent, being very out there, trying and giving your best, because it doesn't matter. The idea itself isn't the focus. Like you said, the
yeah.
focus is the person behind it and the team behind it.
Yeah. I mean, of course it needs. I mean, of course you have to have an idea that solves a big problem. I mean, that's like a hygiene factor thing. But the world is full of ideas. I mean, there's so many ideas out there, but there's so few people who actually are doing things. And when I've done my own companies, I've had. I mean, it never fails. You're standing there on a cold night doing yet another demo in some store or shop or wherever you are, and then somebody comes up to you and they go, I thought about this 5 years ago. This is nothing new. And then you just say, okay, cool. I'm happy for you. But what did you do about it? Who's selling the product in this store? Is it you or me? So it's doing, and making people believe in that you are the one to do it, because that's what's going to gather followers and other people to join your team. It's going to get you investors. It's going to get you ambassadors amongst your customers, because they will believe it. They want to help you succeed. If they like you and they want to make it work, they'll keep buying your product. They'll phone their friends and say, hey, this is a great product. I love this company. You should get this product. And that's how it works. We tell people all the time about stuff we love and we like, right? And we also tell people about things we hate and that we didn't like, and they had a sucky customer experience over here, and they were so rude to me on the support phone. Okay, fine. Well, I've just told 5 people about that. So
Yeah, even more so. than a positive
Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
So, and I remember one product I was doing. I released a product here in Sweden in 2013, and it was like a cutthroat business. We were big competition, and we had a couple of mantras, but one thing was, because it was a whole new product that nobody has ever seen before, and then we said, we know that this version we are releasing isn't perfect, like software, but we need to convey to people that it is work in progress, and we will continuously continue to improve the product, and we invite you to help us to, so tell us what you need improved. Don't tell your friends that it was bad. Tell us what you didn't like, and we'll build it better, and the next version will be better and better and better. And then and we were sort of inclusive and very inviting to people, and invited people on, and they loved it, and people liked that we were authentic about our product, and that we knew that we were trying to build something that hadn't existed before, and it was a new thing, but we were really trying to create something cool, and they bought into that. So we got a lot of people as really good ambassadors because they believed in us, who we were, what we were trying to do. I mean, the whole key message was, a progressive, innovative company that is trying to build something cool. And we never made a statement that it's the final perfect product and this is it and take it or leave it, or nothing like that. So I mean, it comes down to making people being authentic and actually putting yourself out there, and you have to make people believe in what you're trying to do, and you can't do that if you're not honest.
I've noticed a term that you used, a part-time entrepreneur. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? I think that kind of, you use that a lot because of the surroundings that you are in.
Yeah. I mean, everybody I work with here are part-time entrepreneurs. I mean, they are full-time students or full-time researchers, and we help them with their ideas. And very few of them are working full-time on their ideas as long as they are here at KTH Innovation. So we've built a process that can live in symbiosis with their full-time jobs as researchers or students. And so maybe it takes a longer time, but we have a very patient process. But the important part is that we have a process, and you trust the process, and it takes you forward towards where you're going all the time. So I do use the term part-time entrepreneur a lot, because that's usually how people start out as well. Is you start doing on your free time, and it's nights and weekends and holidays and everything like that. And then one day you feel confident enough to take the jump, take the leap and go.
So now, so you don't promote fully in, jump in right away. You're saying more of a do it in your free time, take the process, and then decide and jump fully time.
The thing is, the interesting thing is that, I mean, before we had this sort of notion of startups and raise lots of cash and run for an IPO kind of thing, it was the whole sort of thing was, well, it takes somewhere between 3 to 7 years to build a business, and you start, and then one day, and then suddenly one day you feel that, well, now it's bringing in enough money for I can actually start doing this full time, and then you quit your job and then you started doing that instead. Or you were forced to do it full time because you were fired or the job was gone or whatever. That's a different thing, of course. And then we entered this new era of startup and entrepreneurship. When you have an idea, you ask for funding, somebody gives you lots of money. You think that's how it works, but it's like not everybody gets that. And then you go full time. But and that is, I mean, I'm not saying that everybody should go part time. You need to focus, of course. However, I think it's important to acknowledge how long time something can take, because we're talking years, not a 24-hour bootcamp weekend to start something. And even if you were funded after the 24 hours with 50,000 euros because you won a prize in a hackathon, if you're 4 people, 50,000 euros will take you, I don't know, not even 6 months paid full-time salaries. And offices and telephones and everything else, and 6 months is nothing. I mean, we're probably talking about 2 years until the product's on the market. So I'm just saying, acknowledge the fact that things take a long time. And that I've also mentioned, the whole thing about we think that things just sort of pop up and then suddenly they're a success. And then, the old saying that, I think it was, I don't know if it was the Twitter founder, whoever said that, you work your butt off for 10 years, night and day. And then suddenly one day after 10 years, you're considered an overnight success. And people just say, oh, what did that? Oh, it's so easy. That guy just started an app and whoop, that's like that. And they forget about, the 10 years of noodles and water and just trying to make it work. I mean, Instagram almost went bust twice before they pivoted into some kind of a feed where people take pictures of their lunch, which kind of worked. Airbnb, same thing. I mean, all of these big companies have spent years and years and years and years, and the very few, and then they say, yeah, but what about this company? And then they pick the 1%, the anomaly, the outlier, but that doesn't represent the mass. The mass is a different thing. It's like you have a million companies that are struggling, and I'm just saying that acknowledge the time it takes, and that comes back to, again, the part of being consistent and authentic and actually being transparent. You need to be what you are doing. You need, because like you said before when we were talking, when you talk about somebody, you want somebody else to say, oh yeah, that's that girl that does this and this, or that's the guy that is this and this, because you are in that stage, you are your product, you are your service, you are what you're trying to fix. You're the guy that's trying to fix whatever it could be. And that is, that's a huge thing. So you need to really, it's, you have to, that's who you are.
I think that a good question for you is how to get started. It doesn't matter if you're a student, you encounter other students, obviously, but for a young person,
yes,
they are passionate about something. So we detected that passion is important. How do you get started? Where do you go? Do you go to someone? Do you have to do your homework before? Do you use the tool that you mentioned before? What are the steps that come into your mind?
Sure. Also a good question, and also
multi-layered.
No, but okay, but if we're going to break it down, let's make it super simple and just say, well, first of all, you need to figure out, what are you trying to fix? Because it's so easy that we have an idea, but that's the solution. But if we forget about the solution for now and just say, what are you trying to fix? What need are you trying to actually, solve? Then you need to figure out, before you start thinking about your solution, you need to then start speaking to people. You said, should we talk to somebody? Yes, you should speak to a lot of people to understand, do other people acknowledge that they have this need? And even if you say, I know you need one of these, and they go, do I? I don't, or do they say, I do? Where, because this is timing as well. If you're too early, people won't need, as perception, what you are selling until 3 to 5 years from now. So you need to go out and speak to people and understand, is there an understanding of this need? That's number one. Two, are people prepared to understand that they might have to use something or even pay for something that could solve this need? Because that's two different things as well. That's where we go wrong in market research or customer research, when we go out and ask people, would you want an app that did this? And people go, yeah, sure, that'd be cool. And then 2 years later, you go, buy my app. And I go, I don't need that. I'm going to pay for that. Yeah, but you said, but that was different, So.
And I would like it for free. I don't want to pay it. It's nice, but I don't want to pay it. That's usually the answer.
And again, the thing is, when you're asking people to use a new product or service, you are not only asking them to pay money, you're also asking them to pay time and engagement, because you're asking them to change a habit. And that's usually the highest price you're asking anybody to pay. People say no to stuff all the time because it's uncomfortable to change their habit. People stay in destructive relationships because it's too uncomfortable to leave a relationship. So, just go to yourself on how hard you have to change a habit, and and that's the same thing for everybody else. Yeah. So that's number one. Before you even start coding anything, it's understanding, am I addressing a need that other people understand and other people think it's important enough to actually do something about it? If we get a sort of a green checkbox in that thing, then we can start thinking about how to solve it, and how we're going to deliver the solution. Is it a website? Is it an app? Is it a product? Is it a service? What is it? The deliverable can be lots of different things. But the important thing is understanding who's going to use it for what. Do they think it's important enough to change a habit or pay for it more than one time? Then we have something. And so we are kind of unique here at the university in an academic setting, because we are like we do super early, brutal market exposure. Everything that comes in, we go, okay, go speak to a customer. And they go, well, what do you mean? What do you mean? Yeah, well, who's going to use it? Well, it probably is good for like everyone. No, everybody won't be using it. Who's going to use it? Well, maybe, and then we break it down into, in the end, you have like sort of one type user. Okay, well, go and speak to those. And then they go and speak to those and they go, oh, they didn't want it. Okay, well, who else is going to use it then? And then, we leave the office, speak to people, go out and, because if you come up with an idea, I mean, it's like with so many examples of stupid ideas that fail, like these 3 guys in Germany that had developed this glove, a pink glove that you were going to use when women were going to insert their tampons or something like that. I was like, okay, 3 guys, they think it's a great idea for women to have a pink glove to insert their tampons. Had they even spoken to any women before they came up with the idea? No, they hadn't. Did the idea fail? Yes, it did. So
yeah, sounds like something expected. I'm detecting that you obviously think that some things are trainable, and how much of it is character fixed, and how much of it is trainable in your experience. What are so you've been doing this for 13 years.
Yeah.
You've encountered thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts? Can a character be changed? Can a person be switched? Can this be trained? Can you what is your overall feeling?
Yes.
Because sometimes people judge themselves and say, oh, I cannot do it. Simply, I'm not that type of a person.
Okay.
Is that true?
No.
That's it. but
well, I can let me do a comparison.
Yeah.
How many languages do you speak?
3.
3.
Yeah.
Okay. Which ones?
Croatian, English, a little bit of German, and a little bit of Swedish also.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a little bit of Swedish. Okay.
Yeah.
If you practice Swedish, would you get better at Swedish?
Obviously.
Yeah. Stupid magic. But the thing is, no matter.
Yeah.
No, but do you know anybody who speaks like 7 languages and can speak a new language just like that?
And no, they train hard. They're crazy.
Yeah. Or do you know anybody? I mean, somebody that has a knack for learning languages, or do you know somebody who speaks like 1 language and doesn't seem to be able to learn whatever one or more language?
They don't even have interest to learn other languages. That's my experience.
The thing is, whichever skill we're talking about, be it football, languages, entrepreneurship, everybody has more or less talent in it. Some people have a knack for it naturally, and some people go at it the hard way and decide that they're going to become good at it, right? And then from everybody can improve any skill they have to a certain extent. And then, of course, there are differences between people depending on personality traits and all the other parts that make up a person. And some people are more suited for some things than other things. And I won't play soccer in the national team, but I can play soccer, with the guys at home. Yeah. But everybody can improve from where they are and become better at anything. Then, of course, there's differences between people. But to your question, anybody can improve their entrepreneurial skills and the way they think about it by practice. That doesn't mean that everybody can be the super entrepreneur, because everybody hasn't that, composition. But yes, everybody can improve. And I can tell you, if you follow the process like the one we have or any other process, and just, green marks in the check boxes and just do the things in the order. And that's the beauty of working with engineers that we do, is that you might think that they are like super introvert and not entrepreneurial and not selly and that whole thing. But when you give them an actual process and they can follow, they can actually join the dots, excel. They do some really good stuff
Mm.
because they, they do it from the ground up and they build a good foundation. It works.
Yeah, it makes sense. So
Yeah,
it was really nice to hear all of the experience you had. I'm really looking forward on us perhaps sharing some other thoughts in the future regarding this topic. I invite everyone to contact Donnie
yes,
and
go ahead. LinkedIn,
Donnie.
hit me up
Yeah,
on LinkedIn. No problem at all.
yeah. Donnie is very active there and is basically trying to do something very good, which kind of which kind of goes not only stays only in Sweden, but is when you use LinkedIn, people from all over the world notice that energy, and it's practically the same in all of Europe and the world. So you
Yeah,
have to do similar steps in order to get to that goal. So that is quite nice to have, and I'm really glad that we had a chance to talk about this topic, Donnie. Thank you
wonderful.
for joining in, and thank you for talking about this. I am really looking forward to our future conversations.
Yeah, I'm really happy you had me. One last thing to say is that
Yeah.
we all need to help fix this. The
Mm,
planet needs us. So
mm.
pick something worth doing, ask for help, or help somebody else, join forces, and let's fix this. That's my last key message here.
Thank you, Donnie. Thanks everyone for watching. Have a nice weekend. Bye.